Welcome to Going Fishing with Brett Raymer from Tanked. This is episode number 12. Brett, Agnes, how you guys doing?
Yeah,
Hey,
good.
hey, what's up, guys?
It's great to see you. Okay, let's go around the room. We're Zooming today. For those that are watching, I'm in the guest bedroom of my house. Brett, where are you?
I'm at the Western Veterinarian Conference in Las Vegas, and I'm actually in the middle of the conference right now. So it might be a little wishy-washy, but like I said, we don't want to miss a podcast, so we're doing it live from the conference.
And Agnes, where are you?
And I am at my work. I'm at my work, the Boakley Group, where I do real estate. So they have their own podcast as well. So this is where I'm joining you guys from, is from my work.
Perfect. Well, I'm excited today. I'm excited every week to talk to you guys. Today, we're going to break down season 7, episode number 5, Give a Dog a Phone. This aired April 4th back in 2014. And you're doing a build for Park Animal Hospital, the veterinary clinic here in town, and a telephone tank for Telesphere as well. Now, this episode opens up and it kind of sets up the whole storyline. But Brett, your kids are sick at home. Was that part of the storyline going in, or were your kids actually sick and it kind of evolved into what the episode was all about?
Yeah, no, the kids were sick. I remember it specifically, and it kind of evolved into the episode. One of the things that they always wanted to do was whatever was going on in your life, they wanted to kind of, portray that inside of the story. So Dr. Dominic, or Dr. C, he was actually my vet, and he was all of our vets. And then, so that's why he came into the story. And then, like I said, with the kids being sick, they wanted to kind of use what was going on at the time.
So we meet Dr. Dom. We go to his house, and he's got 16 fish tanks inside his house. So that's how he came to be on the show. You guys were friends, and you had a conversation. Did you have friends reaching out to you often saying, hey, man, I want to be on the show. I want to do a tank. How did Dr. Dom come to be on the show?
In the beginning, that's how it was, right? Because, we weren't famous yet. So you have to kind of reach out to the people that reach out to somebody close, somebody that's a fish lover, and somebody that you think might want an aquarium. That would be an amazing, aquarium for the television show. And he actually was the one, if I remember correctly, I think that he was the one that said, man, let's do a doghouse aquarium.
Officially, we had to beg JC.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. No, we had to basically beg people to come on the show.
But at this point, we're season number 7. You're still having to beg people to come on the show. Number 7?
No, this is
number 7 was that was 3.5 years in, right? It wasn't actually number 7 seasons. So it was 3 years in. That was the season that really made or break the show, was season 3.
Okay. Yes. So also in this one, we also meet the people from Telesphere. You guys are doing this telephone tank build. They've got a convention here in town. And you guys build an 8 feet tall, 3,000 pounds tank, 200 plus gallons of water inside this thing. It's a beautiful tank when it's all said and done, but it's another one of these deals where you build this beautiful tank. It's for a convention here in town. Then they tear it down and move it to their offices. How common was that, where you built a tank for one location and they end up tearing it down and transferring it back to home base?
Pretty common.
Yeah, I mean, we did a few aquariums like that. Like a convention aquarium was kind of a pain in the neck. It was great because it was here in Las Vegas, but then you got to break it down, set up. You got to do that twice, right? So it does become a burden. But long story short is that, look, we wanted to always make the customer happy. And a lot of these conventions, people don't realize, we're at one today, right? These conventions are where they do a majority of their business. I mean, Paul Mitchell, believe it or not, they get 60% of their revenue from their convention business. So conventions are extremely important, and putting an aquarium and an attraction like that was a great idea for those guys because it made such a big hit at the show.
Yeah, it was a stunning build. Was all said and done. Now in the episode, you get sick, Wade gets sick, and then your dad, the general, is in charge. This was a fun episode. Whose idea was to put your dad in charge of this episode?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't mine.
I think it was productions. It was production's idea, right, Brett?
Yeah, the thing is if we were filming and we had to be somewhere else, there always had to be some kind of storyline of why we weren't there to film. So maybe in that episode, it was the 6th storyline. I don't remember. It's been so long, but don't get me wrong. There was a couple of times where we had to get episodes in and had to get them knocked out. And there were scenes that still weren't filmed. So they had to figure out a way to get it done, whether it was, me being sick, whether we weren't there. If Wade and I were both sick and we weren't there, it's probably we were out and probably somewhere else filming.
Oh, so clever editing and producing right there. That's a trip. We see in this one, Redneck is fostering a puppy named Moonshine, and I think the guy really has a soft spot. He really does. How did Redneck come to get involved with the company, and how did you guys first meet Redneck?
So Redneck lived in Colorado and worked for one of our competitors, an acrylic company. It wasn't really our competitor, but we worked hand in hand with them. And he just came walking on in one day, and he was like, "Hey, I work for Reynolds. You guys have an opening." And yeah, that was pretty much it. He just came on in one day, and Wade hired him, and then we couldn't get rid of him. We stuck with him.
Kind of like me. It's kind of how everyone came together at ATM.
We did. Not many people left ATM. Once you got there, you pretty much stayed there. You had fun, you worked, you did your thing. We had a TV show. People enjoyed working there. People didn't really leave that often.
Yeah.
There was something that your dad did, which I thought was kind of cute. I want to know if he did it to you all the time as a kid, but at one point when Wade starts to get sick, he's sitting next to your dad, and your dad says, "Do you have a fever?" And he leans over and he kisses him on the head to see if he's got a fever. Was that your dad's technique of finding out if the kids had a fever, by just kissing their forehead?
Yeah, so the old days, that was the technique. They would kiss you. Come here, let me kiss your forehead. Let me put my lips on your forehead.
Yeah.
And as time went on, that was what my dad did over the years, growing up as a kid. And then, they invented thermometers, so it took over as time went by, especially the ones where you can just hold up to your head now, right? Because back in the day, you were stuck with two kinds of thermometers. It was oral, and we all know the other one. So the bottom line is that I would deal with the kissing on the forehead any day of the week.
Don't get those two thermometers confused. Yeah, that could be a big time trouble.
We could talk. We could actually talk a little bit of a thermometer story for a second, since we're on the subject of thermometers. So we're cooking Thanksgiving dinner one day, and my brother's girlfriend, she's about 15 and a half at the time, and my mom turns around and says, "Hun, do me a favor, reach into the drawer next to the fridge and grab the thermometer for the turkey and put it inside the turkey." She reaches in the drawer, she grabs out the rectal thermometer, she puts the rectal thermometer inside the turkey. The thing explodes mercury, and we had roast beef for Thanksgiving.
Stop, you did not. That's crazy.
Oh, that's the truth. I swear that is a God's honest true story.
That is awesome. That's fantastic. Well, your dad's, he's got some interesting things he's done on the show. And in this episode, he has because he's in charge, he holds a staff meeting to talk about everyone's dress code, how people dress at the office. A scene like this, is that all done in one take? Walk us through something like that. Do they gather all the employees and say, like to you, Agnes, because you were there, do they say, "Okay, the general's going to say something, give us your genuine reaction"? How does that scene take place?
I give him my
Agnes.
General reaction. Like if I know, obviously there's a little bit, it's like we know the storyline, but we don't really know what's going to come out of people's mouths because we're still just us. So we, a lot of times we improvise whatever Erwin said to me, or Robert, or Wade, or Brett, or Heather, and they came at me, I would just give it my natural reaction. It really was. Sometimes it was where we were, we had certain lines when we were sitting and doing green screens because we were kind of going back and talking about the episode. But other times it was just us. And if they had to cut it maybe later in post because we said something, that was not PG, they'd probably cut it, but, or bleeped it out or whatever they may have. But it was always our natural reaction at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, around this time, when the episode airs, Brett, you do an interview for The Statesman, which is the newspaper of Stony Brook University, which you attended. And there's something, I was reading this interview this morning from 2014. There was something I was hoping you could expand on it. In this interview, you say the most unusual request to date belongs to a woman who wanted a tank in the shape of her grandson's head. Do you remember making that tank? Tell us more.
No, so we never made it because, people have these visions of grandeur, but then once you hit them with the
cost
$50,000 number or a large number, they like, "Oh, I didn't know it was going to be that much." People just think anything. They started coming out of the woodwork with the craziest ideas. Can you make like a horse aquarium, like shaped like a horse?
Unicorn.
Stuff like that could be done, but the that the money aspect of it is just astronomical. And when people start hearing the value of what it costs, they're like, yeah, you know, maybe I'll just stick to a regular square aquarium.
Keep it simple. Well, also in 2014, you guys released a book, Tanked, the official companion by Brett Raymer and Wade King. Tell us more about the book. How the book deal come about?
Yeah, so the book deal was a great deal. We were able to sit with a ghostwriter, and we were able to, you know, give our story on how the show got started, et cetera, et cetera. And basically told the story of Tank, you know, a lot of stuff that we talk about here on the podcast, how the story got started, how the beginning episodes worked out, you know, just some fish tips. It was a good book. I think the book sold out, and then once they sold it out, it discontinued. But I still got me a copy.
It's still, you can still get it on eBay, by the way, for as cheap as $5, all the way up to $25. There's brand new copies still available on eBay, so it's out there. Also in 2014, you guys were doing a lot of appearances. I mean, at home and garden shows across the country. You guys were busy. 2014 was a busy year for you guys. Who was booking these appearances for you? Was that something that Animal Planet would book, or if I wanted you guys, I just call the shop directly?
Yeah, it worked both ways. Like, you know, we had people that booked directly, and then we worked for a company that owned the show management group they put on like, you know, 20, 30 shows a year. And then we contracted with them for each show in different cities. And then we did that for about 3 or 4 years. And we would go to all these conventions and, you know, meet people, take pictures, sign autographs, sell T-shirts and hats, and, you know, just have a good time, basically expanding the brand.
Agnes, would you do these tours as well?
No, it was mainly Wade and Brett. No, it was mainly Wade and Brett, but we were a part of like the, you know, again, we had tours coming in. So we'd sign the books, we'd sign the T-shirts, we'd sign the hats. It was a group effort because, as much we wanted to give back to our fans. And if they wanted an autograph and a picture, we would do it. We would do it because they were the ones who are, you know, they're still our fans. We're feeding the machine, as you know, we
had tours going on every day at the shop every day, right? So somebody had to be there. People wanted to come to ATM and see Brett and Wade, but we weren't there. So they saw Agnes and Heather, and they saw the general, and they were able to, you know, get their fix of Tank through those guys when we weren't really around.
And this build in this episode, the doghouse that you guys do, it is an incredible build. I want to take my dogs down to see it and see the reaction when they're inside this doghouse to see the fish swimming around. But there's a scene in there where they're kind of already working on the tank getting it done. And Agnes, you walk in because Brett made a last minute change. You want to add a dog treat dispenser to this doghouse. How often was Brett making these last minute changes to builds?
All the time. Well, because, you know, just like in Vegas or, you know, people start seeing they want to do something more unique and better and better and better. Right. So it's just, you always wanted to up the ante when it came to the aquariums.
Yeah. I mean, we had a basic idea of what the aquarium was going to look like at the end, but, you know, there was always that last minute thing like, hey man, we should have added this on. And they're like, right. Well, it's not too late. Let's just do it. And let's just add it into the story while we're at it. So.
And it doesn't mean, JC, that it would stay there permanently, but it was a good, you know, for the storyline and for a moment, it was a fun addition to the aquarium. Whether the client wanted to keep it in there was completely up to the client.
It was a fun little scene that you guys did. And then also in this episode, your dad and Heather go to Sea Dwelling Creatures to get some fish for the tank. Where's Sea Dwelling Creatures located?
It's in LA.
Now, when you guys are doing that, are you flying out and just shooting that one scene and just shooting you guys getting the fish for this one episode and flying back? Or is there multiple shoots out there, these places?
No, we would do multiple episodes.
Multiple episodes. It was a pain in the neck. I hated going fish shopping, like, because it was wet, humid, nasty. Like the floors were just bad on my knees. So when Agnes and Heather took over, that made filming so much easier for me.
We loved doing it, JC, because it got us out of the office, and it was just like a one-day vacation. We had a blast doing it, and we got to see all the fish. We got to see the sharks. We got to see stingrays. We got to see everything.
Well, yeah, that was the educational part of the show. Yes. That was the part where you were able to get education, learn about the fish, you know, get a little bit of a knowledge. mean, like I said, that's why I think the show was so great, because it was able to educate, and it was extremely important.
Yeah, you do. You get a great education on the fish. Even if you're not buying the fish, you're showing us so many different fish. But Brett, you're just like your dad, because when he got there, he was all upset because he had a new tracksuit. The floor was wet. He didn't want to get his tracksuit wet, so he ends up putting those plastic bags on top of his shoes and his legs in order to stay dry. So like father, like son.
Yeah, you have to wear galoshes or else your shoes get ruined.
Wow.
The salt. You get salt.
I mean, the salt will eat away your shoes over time. I mean, if you don't clean them up, put them in the dryer, or wash them, all the salt water on the floor.
No, Agnes, you fly out for a day of shooting at these fish places in California. Do you fly out the night before and you shoot all day and fly back? And did it become so routine that it wasn't a big deal? Or is there a little anxiety the night before of like thinking you've got to shoot all day and do these different shots?
No, we got so used to it. Sometimes we would fly the night before, just depending on how many episodes we had to shoot. So sometimes we'd fly in at night, sleep, and then start early morning and go all day and fly home at like 8, 9, 10 p.m. Or sometimes we'd be up at 4 or 5 and get there and shoot all day and then fly back. So it just depended on how many episodes and how much content we had to cover. Again, now we're talking about the bulk of when we had 20 episodes per season. We were probably flying in the night before and then running all day and then coming home at night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the episode, your dad does employee reviews. He tells Robert that he has not been productive in the office. It's a fun scene between Robert and your dad. But in real life, in reality, were you guys doing employee reviews, and who was in charge of that kind of stuff at the place?
I mean, the employee reviews probably were few and far between. I'd be Agnes, you're doing great.
Yeah.
That's your review.
Yeah. Or Agnes, or no, it was more like this. Agnes, you're never on time. I go, I know. And that was it. And then I try to fix it. And then I'd still never be on time. And then whatever.
Agnes, you got your review every morning. I was like, Agnes, you're late.
But now I'm never late. I mean, JC, thank you again for pointing that out.
That's right. You learned. But what's funny is my dad got the name the General, JC. The meeting that he had with everybody, where he was trying to tell everybody what to do and nobody would listen to him. That's exactly how he got his name the General, right? He used to, the employees would come over to us and be like, hey man, your dad's in the back telling us what to do. And they'd be like, we're not doing what he says. And I'd be like, yeah, you don't have to, don't worry about it. So then I was like, dude, he keeps coming to our employees and telling them like he runs the show here. I go, let's just call him the General. And then that's how it kind of stuck. It was like, he's the general that no one listens to.
That's true. No one.
Was Redneck, was Robbie's, was his nickname given when he came to the show, or was that already his moniker when he arrived?
No, he had, his name was Redneck, Robbie Redneck.
Yeah.
I think his mom gave it to him.
Really?
Heather hated. Heather would never call Robert. Redneck would call him Robert.
Except when she was mad. She'd be like, Robert. Robert.
No, I'd call him Red. We'd all call him Red.
Yeah, Red for sure.
Red, yeah, Red. We call him Red. No neck, just Red, straight Red. Red.
Because he was always red. He was always mad.
He does seem angry a lot. With the build is just, I love the build. The doghouse, it's a really neat build that you guys did. And one thing you came up with, because the dogs go inside, they scratch at the inside of that tank, and you made that peel away little covering. Question is though, what happens when you run it's like a roll of Scotch tape? Eventually, the roll of Scotch tape is going to run out. Do the refills that go inside that thing?
Yeah, you can put another piece of clear up, or you could just peel that off and do it. But the good thing is that it's scratch resistant, so it'll scuff up. But then after a while, like you said, you just replace it with another piece.
It's like the thing you put over your phone, JC.
It's like a screen cover, like a screen saver, screen replacement, whatever it is.
And as far as you know, that tank, the doghouse is still there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Dominic's a fish guy. He's always a fish lover. That guy's 16 tanks. I mean, the bottom line is that I'm sure the 17th one wasn't the icebreaker.
He didn't stop after that. He said enough is enough. Well, that's cool. Anything else you guys want to add about the episode? It was a really neat build, and it was really it was fun seeing your dad in charge of everybody. A little different take on the episode.
Yeah, that was a good episode. I mean, both clients were actual clients. We had business with Scott Sharples and his company with our phone systems. And Dr. C was our vet. So that was a local community episode where we had business with these businesses, and we were able to have them do aquariums on the show. So it was kind of cool in the beginning because we had a lot of cool things in Vegas and a lot of people that had known us. So we were able to work with these people. So we really didn't have to travel as far. And then once we got popular, then we just started traveling the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I remember that the telephone one that I have pictures of it. It was definitely a showstopper. Like everyone in that convention stopped at that piece because it was so cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, anything we ever did at a convention is a showstopper, right? You know, we did that Dwayne Wayne party. We did the Miami convention from Macno where we did the vending machine aquarium. I mean, there's a couple of episodes that we'll touch base on that we did convention based. But, you know, obviously today I wanted to do the veterinarian's office, obviously number one, because I'm at the Western Veterinarian Conference here in Las Vegas. And obviously I have 3 dogs, 2 Jack Russells and an American Bulldog. And I thought it was important to, you know, this would be a great episode to talk about that and what I've been up to lately.
Yeah, what do you have going on there? You have a guest with you today, do you not? Who's there with you?
So yeah, so I definitely have a guest with me today. So what I want to do first is I want to basically introduce my guest, and then I'm gonna take you guys around and show you what we're doing here today. But I have a really good, very, very, very good friend of mine. Also is one of my business constituents. They have an amazing company called animalnecessity.com. And I'd like to let all of our fans and everybody know that we have Dr. Johana Fava, and she is going to be our resident vet from now on. She's going to come on to Going Fishing. She's going to be the Going Fishing vet. And she's going to come on because we know all of our fans have more than fish. We know they have cats. We know they have dogs. We know they have snakes, all different kinds of animals. And horses, exactly. You have horses.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is we're going to bring Dr. Jo on. And when she can be available, we're going to bring her on for some tips. All the way from, you know, things that she does with dolphins, all the way through to dogs, to cats, et cetera, et cetera. So without no further ado, I want to introduce my good friend, Dr. Johana Fava. Hold on, here she is.
Yay, welcome, Dr. Joe.
JC and Agnes. She got us now so she can hear us.
Hey, Dr. Joe.
Come in as they froze on us. All right, there we go. All right.
How are you?
Yay.
There's JC and Agnes. We have Dr. Joe.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thanks for being here with us. So I want to know, are you did you watch Tank when it was on the air? Were you a fan of the show?
Oh yeah, I was a huge fan, and my son was even a bigger fan. It's actually kind of
That's how we met. Actually, she emailed us and said, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the show. You know, we have a supplement company. We'd like to come in and talk about, you know, doing some fish supplements with you guys." And I was like, "Man, come on in, come visit. I'd love to see you guys." So they came by ATM. We started talking. And then her husband was like, "Yeah, I'm, you know, from back east." They're both from back east. They're like, "You know, I work at Getty Images." And I'm like, "My friend works at Getty Images." I'm like, "Yeah, what's his name?" Pete Olowski. He's like, "That's my boss and my best friend." So we get Pete on the phone, and Pete's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you guys are together, family." And then ever since then, we've been like family. So.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a trip. So do you have a favorite build, Doc, that you've an episode of yours? Is there a standout one that you? I guess you kind of watch it with different eyes, watching it, knowing fish, knowing the ins and outs of tanks. You probably watch these tanks with a different eye as they assemble some huge one, maybe think in the back of your mind how that fish are going to survive in that one. Is there a standout one to you?
yeah, the Tracy Morgan episode, I believe, where you had like the entire Shark Tank, right? That just seems just like just huge to be able to do that, you know, and to be able to, you know, put it on television is just, I mean, it's just insane. It was crazy kind of to see, because I've, you know, swim with sharks and I work with sharks, but to see that, you know, home was pretty amazing.
So Doc specializes in sea lions, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually a holistic veterinarian for pets, equine, zoo, and aquarium animals. So I've been doing it now for 17 years. I co-founded a supplement company for them, and we work globally around the world in 90 countries. It's actually funny with, you know, meeting Brett and having a lot of the similarities. It's a family-owned business, and it started on my mom's side, on the human side. But we actually call her, it's kind of funny, we call her, she's our matriarch, but we call her Storm and Norma, because there's nothing that she's gonna, you know, storm through any barriers to get things done. So it's very, very similar.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know you guys were you were worldwide.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
that's very cool.
Yeah, so the name of that company is animalnecessity.com. So we want to tell all of our fans out there, make sure they check out animalnecessity.com. And like I said, I brought, Johana on today to talk about herself, talk about the company a little bit, give a little bit of history. But also too, is I figured what a great way to bring her in, right? With having a veterinarian episode. And maybe today she could talk a little bit about dogs, a little bit about stimulation, about, obviously we made a doghouse inside of a waiting room so that dogs can, get stimulated by fish. So I figured, what a great way to have her on today to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great idea to do. Stimulation for our animals, like mental health, you don't always think about it for your dogs and cats. It's recommended to at least have like about 20 to 30 minutes of playtime with them. And they suggest, not just playing with a ball, but also like scent playing. So you can kind of hide certain treats in certain areas and kind of run around, with them, and make sure you get good exercise routine. Similar to our dolphins, off sessions when they're not feeding, we have various, toys, and the trainers actually change your toys all the time. So changing the toys that you have within your home is also a good idea. And that, decreases any type of like destructive behaviors that they may have. Fish check is a great idea.
That's great advice, because I've got an Australian cattle dog, and we go outside and play catch all the time. And it's funny because he'll get tired of playing catch. Like I do long distance throws, and he'll literally run to the other side of the house, where the other side of the house is more conducive to throwing the ball up in the air and him just standing there and catching it. So he's telling me he wants to mix things up, and that's a great thing to apply. I didn't even think of that. Even mix up my toys. He hasn't had a new toy in a couple months, so we should be changing up our toys like a child. They get tired of a toy after a while.
100%. People don't really think that, but even like the stuffed animals, change them up too, because obviously those can get raggedy as well. But they have really cool smart toys now, and you can actually put different treats in them, and you can leave them with the animals. A lot of people don't realize, like, when you start getting separation anxiety or some of these destructive behaviors that we look at, sometimes it's good leaving these toys with the animals so that they can actually have mental stimulation even while we're away from the home.
So wait,
So we're here at
Dr.
this. Hold on, go ahead.
I want to ask, because a lot of people did leave on like our show or Animal Planet on for their pets. Is that really true? Because they do actually tend to like almost watch it, right? That's true? Okay.
They do. Yeah. No, they do. Yeah. And every animal is different. Some play more with balls, some can be stimulated by TV, some music, but every animal is different. So you kind of want to watch your animal with a little camera. What do they do when you're gone? Actually a good thing to do.
Well, and like JC has horses. So what's like the big, like, I don't know, because I love horses, but so what's the biggest thing that for horses? JC, do you know this too? Like, I'm interested now, because I know animals obviously need love, just like we all do. But what is like their biggest thing that they love to do?
It's called running.
Yeah, I think
running
and jumping.
No, but
And jumping.
It's called
Eating.
trotting.
But no.
Usually, if you exercise them enough,
Yeah.
usually if
JC rides with a carrot. He dangles the big carrot in front.
Yeah. JC, what do you feed your horses?
I don't know. Let me get my wife. They're her horses.
Get her.
Apples. Apples, right? Horses eat apples, don't they?
They have our horses have the best life. They get massage. They've got all kinds of specialists. They are her babies. They're her world. So, but they did, Doc. She just recently bought them a big like rubber ball that you can put in their stall to toss around and play with, and I think they like that a lot.
So we're here at the conference, and we had some lady tell us, she goes, oh my God, you don't even know what my dog does. She goes, my dog gets bored of her toys. She goes into the neighbor's doggy door and takes the neighbor's toys and comes back to my yard with them.
Oh, she steals them.
I swear she steals the toy. She goes in her neighbor's doggy door and brings out her neighbor's toy. I was hysterical laughing.
That is fantastic.
So once again,
we got this ball for our horse, and it's a big green ball, and she put it there like a couple weeks ago. We went there over the weekend, and the ball is literally like 5 stalls down. So I think he tossed it to the next horse, who tossed it to the next horse, who tossed it. They're playing catch. They have a mind of their own.
What that's called? You know what that's called? Horsing around.
I think the biggest tip there is just to be careful. Like any toy like that, that you're playing around with the horses, is just to watch them and just make sure that they don't destroy it, right? Because even our dolphins, we have to change materials all the time, and if there's any type of destruction, we obviously take it out. But it's also watching the animals and making sure they don't destroy it, because obviously they can, they can also eat a foreign body too. So just make sure.
Yeah.
Where can we come see
That's awesome.
some dolphins, Dr. Joe? I want to
Come
see-
visit.
Come visit,
the
yeah.
Keys.
So JC, Doc is the vet at the facility in Key Largo, Dolphin Plus Marine Mammal Responder. And there's dolphins there. So if you and your lady want to come down ever and swim,
What about
Agnes,
me?
you too, you guys are always welcome. You guys are always welcome to come
Okay.
down.
Nice.
And what I want to do is I want to show you guys some of the products that while we're here today. So this is their newest product right here. It's called Blackfin Hemp. It's their newest hemp product. And the box itself, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the famous artist called Romero Brito. If you look him up, I'm sure you've seen his work. He's done like over 300 characters for Disney. He's super famous. He actually did their box.
Wow.
So this is an amazing product. People can find it at blackfinhemp.com or they could check out animalnecessity.com. But like I said, once again, I wanted to bring Dr. Joe on, just, you know, introduce her, get her familiar with our cast and everybody that's been amazing on our podcast. And we're going to have her on as our resident vet, you know, every few episodes, and she's going to come in and talk about, you know, animals, talk about their company, talk about the products that they offer. And we'll take questions too. You know, we'll have some questions for her each week of, you know, some pet tips.
That's awesome.
I
I
love
love
it.
that.
And hopefully,
What
Agnes, you guys can come to the Keys and
I would-
visit the dolphin that
I've
is the
been
pi-
want-
the
yeah,
first-
I've been wanting to go. I want to go.
the first dolphin on this hemp is at our facility. She's 45 years old. She's one of the oldest dolphins, and she's doing great. So it's helping with
She's how
mobility. It's
old?
helping with joints.
45.
45.
45?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So we'd love for you guys to come visit her.
And the
She's
cool thing
amazing.
is if we make a trip, we can all do a podcast live from the dolphin facility.
Let's
That
go.
works for me.
I would love that.
So
You're invited.
That's awesome. That was great. Well, it was nice meeting you, Doc, and we look forward to having you on more future episodes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Joe. It's such a pleasure meeting you for real. I'm
Yeah.
taking you up on that. I'm coming down.
Awesome. Well, you
Please
know what?
come.
Today was an amazing episode number 12. I can't believe with 3
Yes.
months already. It's been such a great experience. I just want to thank you guys. You guys are super amazing. And I'm looking forward to the next 12.
Same,
Yeah.
same.
Same here.